nearby barracks serving as a hospital, where doctors put him to bed and treated his leg, head, and back wounds. Soon he drifted again into a deep sleep, though this time he would wake in the morning without prodding. He could remember his name now, and he realized that Greenland, where he was based, was not heaven. Though the numbness was partially gone and the pain from his wounds was intensifying, Michael got up, deeply depressed, and, ignoring the advice of his doctors, hobbled to the barracks housing his unit a few hundred yards away to see his old comrades. Perhaps they could help rid him of his depression and put the horrors he had endured behind him. But the reunion didn't work. His friends greeted him with joy, but also with endless questions about the disaster. In desperation, Michael locked himself in the barracks boiler room and sat on a stool. He wanted to ease his pain in the warmth, and to be alone, to drain his soul of the torment inflicted by fragmented memory, to still the echo of that maddening cry for help. But he knew this was impossible without first unblocking all the horrific details festering in the inner recesses of his mind. Gradually, Michael relived the catastrophe. He could see himself getting wounded in the explosion, trapped in his quarters, then escaping and crawling to the deck where, as the ship was going down, he witnessed a scene of an almost biblical nature. He had never been religious, but he felt strangely exalted now in the presence of 4 familiar figures in the tableau. Unable to imagine a more sacred moment, he began mumbling the half-forgotten words of the Lord's Prayer and, climbing over the railing of the swiftly sinking ship, stepped into the Arctic Sea. Michael Warish had not been eager to leave home after his furlough and return to Greenland, with its icy weather, its bare snow-covered fields, its overwhelming desolation and dreariness of life. But worst of all, as a North Atlantic veteran, he knew the dangers lurking along the route to Greenland. German U-boats in so-called wolf packs infested the Strait of Belle Isle, aptly referred to as Torpedo Junction, between Labrador and Newfoundland Island. They had already sunk scores of Allied ships in these swirling waters. Still, Michael, an 11-year Army enlistee who was now a member of an artillery company assigned to protect bases and construction crews in Greenland, was consoled by the thought that he would be rejoining his buddies, with whom he had tightly bonded in seeking to ease the bleakness of almost total isolation. Besides, he was scheduled to be back in the United States soon. He had first been sent to this vast Arctic desert, the world's largest island, in 1941, and this was his 6th trip there. And he had come home on furlough this time to attend his sister's funeral, and now, 2 weeks later, he was returning, one of the few passengers on the Dorchester who was sure where it was headed. On the afternoon of January 22, 1943, Michael stepped off the train from Camp Miles Standish in Taunton, Massachusetts, with a casual or temporary company of about 300 other men, mostly green recruits, and onto Pier 11 in Staten Island, New York. Some who had never sailed on a large ship before gaped at the sight of the Dorchester. Despite its rather shabby gray exterior, it had the sleek and graceful lines of a luxury liner, rather than the forbidding, fort-like appearance of a warship. The men were excited as they mounted the gangplank. In fact, the Dorchester, 367 feet long and weighing a relatively light 5,680 tons, had been launched in 1926 as a luxury passenger ship by the Merchant and Miners Transportation Company of Baltimore, Maryland. It could provide 314 vacationers with comfortable cabins, suites, and public rooms that advertisements claimed matched the magnificence of the finest hotel. It was alive every night with laughter, bright lights, and soothing dance music. Also aboard was a large, dazzling casino where patrons could gamble as the ship cruised up the East Coast from Florida to New York, with stops in between at various ports. But in March 1942, with the war underway, the vessel metamorphosed into a troop carrier, and the slot machines gave way to cannon.